Hey fam, what's going on? This is Jessica Pickens. Welcome to Pickens Realities, our Blended Family Truths podcast.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pickens Realities and Blended Family Truths. I am the elite of the family, Jayla, the co-host, the all-being in this family.
I mean, every time. What's going on? What's going on, fam? Jessica, I am the mom, the wife, the other co-host for Pickens Realities and Blended Family Truths.
You should start saying you're the elite mom.
Just the mom.
Just the mom.
Just the mom.
I am Tyrone. I'm the dad. That's it.
Not you suggest that. Okay, we have
the other
special guest today. Clap it up. We have our videographer and his fiance.
He's actually not a guest. He be here every time, y'all. Y'all just don't be seeing him.
Man behind the camera.
That's right.
Can you introduce yourselves?
My name is Dee Dee. I am the fiance.
Okay.
My name is Calvin Calico Coleman, filmmaker, writer, director, entrepreneur.
All of the above. All of the above.
And you signed my shirt afterwards.
Okay, so today we're going to be having a discussion about preparing to blend your family and what that looks like, the trials and tribulations that may come, and just, I guess, advice amongst already married and about to get married.
Prepping to blend.
Prepping to blend, okay? So we're going to get into it. So, how did you guys meet? Tell us about yourselves. I'm gonna hear
I love the giggle.
She
gonna fact check. That's what it is.
I'm listening hard.
Right. She's like,
we met online. We met on Match.com.
Bravery.
Bravery.
Yeah.
They're not paying for this.
I found my wife on the internet, y'all.
Okay. All right.
Hey.
Yo, encore boo.
What was that? Computer love.
Yeah, it was crazy because, I was just on there scrolling, minding my own business, and I got a ping.
I'm sorry, you wasn't minding your own business if you was scrolling on Match.com. But okay, I digress.
I was minding my own business, and I got a ping. She jumped in my DM like... hey, what's good? And I'm
like, what's up, player?
What's good? You know what I'm saying? No. I reached out. I asked her a question. I said, I'm going to ask you one thing, and this is going to determine if we can move forward or not.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what goes on grits, sugar or salt?
Ooh.
Sugar.
All day.
No.
See, you would have got blocked.
Yeah.
Sugar and butter.
Salt, pepper, butter. That's the only way to go.
It's grits.
Grits, sugar,
Hold on.
and butter.
I think what it is it's a Southern thing to put sugar and butter on your grits.
I wouldn't say Southern. I just think people that do that are a little crazy.
So we can end right now. This is a
wrap. This podcast.
Y'all look crazy. Who wants
Tune in next week.
I do need y'all in the comments. What y'all put in y'all grits? Sugar and butter or salt and pepper?
And what if it's shrimp and grits? You putting sugar and shrimp and grits?
A little bit, yeah.
It's grits, not cereal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Man,
Anyway.
So, needless to say, she answered correctly.
Man, okay.
Yeah,
right.
and we were just having great dialogue over DM because we DM first, and then we did a voice FaceTime video call on the site. Yeah. So because there's only so much you can really communicate over text, right? So when you see expressions and things like that, so we connected really well.
Was she eating grits at the time?
No, she was not eating grits, but
I might have been.
So we set a date. And we decided to meet up at a bowling alley. Mm-hmm. So I get to the bowling alley a little early, try to right.
He's sitting in his car in the parking lot.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I showed up early, waited for. So while I was in there, I saw somebody that I knew, and he was there with his date. So I'm chopping it up. I'm like, yeah, I'm eating here, sitting here waiting for this lady to come in, and we chopping it up. And as we're talking, I just see a glimmer of light in the distance. right?
Go ahead,
And
Calvin.
it was in slow motion. I hear Luther Vandross playing in my ear.
If this world were mine.
So she opens the door, her hair just flows everywhere, and I'm just like, yeah, bro, Michael Jordan. And he's like, yo, womp womp. I'm just like, and she walks in. I'm like, hey, bro, that's my date. We're gonna talk
Let me holler at you later
Yeah,
on.
so I mean, we had a great
You just pushed the
time.
mic all up on the nigga like you over here. Like.
But we hit it off from the start, man. We had a great conversation that night. We bowled. I think I beat her like 200 to 100 or something like that.
I do not recollect that.
You'll get your chance to tell
Okay.
us.
It's his truth. Right.
Yeah. So,
But did y'all talk through? And I don't mean to. So did you all? Because of course, what we're talking about is, there's all different types of variations of blended families, right? And so, had you already discussed by DM? Hey, I've been married. Hey, I have a son. So talk to us about how, because what we want the audience, people need to know they're not alone, right? And people who already are, either whether they're a single parent or they've already been divorced, people be trying to figure out like, what do you do, or how do you broach that, and whatnot. So I'm interested to know for y'all, because our stuff is just like ridiculous. It's off the chain, right? Like we might be a seriously a real anomaly. Tell us. Did that discussion happen that night? Where did it? Because I'm looking at D. Like, ooh, come on.
She doubled us. She
talk
like,
to us
let
about.
me in.
Let the folks know what was you all's background and how did you all talk about that? How did you share that information?
Oh, we definitely talked about it in the DM. So prior to our first date, we had talked about, he had told me he had 3 children. He knew I had 1. I knew he didn't want any more children. I knew I didn't want any more children. I got that like out in the first conversation, because if he would have said he wanted more children, I knew that we wouldn't be a match.
So now, had you been married prior?
No, I've never
D?
been married.
But Calvin, you had.
Yeah, I was married for 13 years. So,
Okay.
So interesting story surrounding that. I started off on the wrong foot. At the time we started dating, I was technically still married. We were going through our divorce.
Okay.
But the paperwork was filed and everything, but I didn't disclose that to her. And we joke about this. At the time, I had
She's not joking.
no, she was dead serious about it. But no, we joke about this. The fact that I told her that because I apologized when she found out and everything. We talked about it and we got through that. But she told
that's
me,
grace.
yeah, if she knew that,
That's great.
yeah, if she knew that,
I would have
ahead of
never given the
she
time
would have
to do
never
it.
given me a chance. So while I told her, I was like, while I am very, very sorry, that was like the greatest lie I ever told.
Right.
You wouldn't have had the opportunity.
It paid off.
But one thing I did take that seriously though, that she did make that sacrifice to still give me a chance, even though I was going through so much. And I considered that, and I'm like, I don't want to waste this woman's time. Because she didn't have to give me that chance, and she didn't have to give me that grace, and she didn't have to stick with me through that ordeal. So that was another thing. I was just like, she's solid. Yeah, she's solid. So that's why. Yeah, that's why I was like, take it. It's yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your version of events that happened?
He told it the truth.
Yeah.
But yeah, that definitely, it rocked me when he first told me that he wasn't divorced, but he was going through his divorce. I was like, wait a minute. I have always prided myself on, I don't mess with nobody's man, nobody's husband. The way that my self-worth is set up, I just don't allow myself to do that. So by the time that he told me, though, we had already built a bond. I really liked him. I thought he was a gentleman. I loved how loving he was, articulate and intelligent. So by the time he told me, I was like, oh my
You was already hooked.
Yeah, and I felt like
it was hard.
I did feel it was a little bit of a manipulation, but I do appreciate that he did take ownership and accountability for the lie. We have moved past it, but I do think God must have put that lie in him or something.
So was it
I do feel like we're meant to be.
So wait, because there's a difference. Because we have a different scenario, but same premise, right? Was it a lie or was it guilt by omission?
Right.
No. Or guilt by omission, meaning did you told her you were already divorced?
Yeah, I told her I was divorced.
Oh, that was a lie. Okay.
Yeah. That's why we even met up on a date, because if he would have told me anything outside of that, I'd have never met him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was the determining factor of like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and proceed. What was that determining factor for you?
100% the way that he took the accountability. When I brought it to his attention, like, hey, I know I found out about this, because I actually found out first, then asked him about it.
Oh, it wasn't voluntary.
So, yeah.
It's like, surprise.
Yeah. So when I found out about it and we end up talking through it, the way that he took the accountability, he was like, he understands what that could do to trust in the beginning of a relationship, and how, you know, he knows that he was fully wrong for, you know, withholding that information. Like, now he's happy about it, but then he didn't act like that. He didn't say, I'm glad I told you a lie. He didn't,
he didn't know what.
No, he took full
damage
accountability
would be.
for it, and he just basically said, can you please give me the opportunity to right this wrong?
An
So,
outstanding man. Oh,
but let's pause there for a minute too, because that one thing, I could probably guess didn't set well with your now officially ex-wife, correct, Calvin? Meaning when things are already sticky and challenging enough when families are separating for whatever reason, right? And so going through a divorce, et cetera, et cetera. And I hadn't been married. I wasn't married to my first son's father. But when he was involved with other women, even though we wasn't even married, it fired me up. That's a problem, bro. Right? Like we have a commitment. So what I'm saying is, from the perspective of, even though you and your ex-wife had, everything was in motion. You all were not together. You had been separated and
we
whatnot.
Separated for a while.
But did the scenario of you engaging and dating someone before the paperwork was actually completed cause any additional issues with your now ex-wife, as far as you all being able to be in a healthy and civil place because you have 3 kids? Do you see what I'm saying? Because technically someone could view that as you cheating from a technical perspective, even though it's, you know what I'm saying?
But I mean, she was dating too, so.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But they were living completely separate. Right. He had his own place and everything. They
Got
were
it.
completely
I want to clarify that. So you see what I mean? So, because one thing is one, again, blended family stuff is challenging enough, and we don't ever want to give, everybody's got life, everybody's got stuff. And first of all, thank you all for being brave enough to come and join us and be on this side of the camera, Calvin and Dee, seriously, because this stuff is not easy to be transparent. But the whole goal and point is that we can help other people by saying, yo, you're not alone. You know what I mean? Like, you're not alone. So, but I was interested to know, if that caused issues with your ability to be in or get to a good place with your ex-wife as far as co-parenting. But we'll get there. We'll keep going. That's what. So,
I mean, if you want, you can answer that.
I did.
He said she was doing her thing, so
it wasn't, and
you all already had an understanding, is what it was. What it was.
So our communication is not. And even today, it's not really, we don't have an ideal co-parenting relationship.
Okay.
I pick up my kids the time I'm supposed to pick them up, and that's, for the most part, that's really what it is. So that's, I've always had the desire to want to have a good co-parenting relationship, but I understand that, we went through a really rocky marriage. So, I'm optimistic about it, and, I'm hoping over time we can get past that point. But yeah, through the whole separation, everything, it's just been very tumultuous. And, and I'm sure we'll get to that. There's been some stories that's taken place, and even tumultuous relationship with her child's father. So that has been an ongoing journey. But we're now at the point where we're not really at each other's throats, so to speak.
Bless God. So progress.
Amen.
Yeah.
Progress.
So,
progress.
But as far as my relationship, that really hasn't affected that much with
with your boys.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so separate. We just really keep things so separate.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning, like, he and I ultimately have the same mindset. We would love and desire to have a relationship with the co-parent.
Yeah.
He and I both are on the same page there. Both of our co-parents just
Aren't
they're
there-
not as open
they're not
to
there
it.
yet?
They're
Okay.
not there, you know.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I have a, if I can,
No, go
I have a
ahead.
quick
Go.
question. So D, when you're thinking about, or during the process of finding out about him not telling the truth about, or bringing forth the information about the ex, blending a family, we didn't do this, but you should pause and make certain that whoever you're dealing with is who you want to introduce your child. You want to let them into that window. Tell me about did that scenario give you reason to pause, and had you already introduced him to your son?
No, at this point, he had not met my child yet. And even with his children, it was a very long time before I met his children. He told me
Kudos to y'all.
Yeah, he told me from day one that the woman that I bring around my children, I want them to meet one. I don't want to be having multiple women with them. And it kind of hit me a little hard at first, like, excuse me? Like, because by the time...
I'm auditioning.
Because, of course, he ended up seeing my son first, because when you're the mother, your child is with you.
Yeah.
So if I had to wait when my son was not with me, we would never date. It's hard for us, you know.
Yeah.
But my child was with me all the time, so he definitely was exposed to my child. They had started building a relationship probably a year before I met his children.
Oh, wow.
He was very protective of that, and I had to respect that. Even
So
if I
wait,
didn't
how
agree
long
with
have y'all
certain
been
things.
dating?
3 years.
Okay.
This month, 3 years
Oh,
this
wow.
month.
Oh, y'all doing
Congratulations.
real good.
Yeah.
We was 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
7 days.
we put some time into this. We've taken time
That's
into it.
awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was kind of like leading into my next question, kind of what he said. So how was it when you ultimately decided to transition and have her meet your boys? Like, how was that for you?
So 3 of my boys, they each have very unique personalities.
Very.
You would not think that they were brothers just by getting to know them. Even looking at them, they look completely different. My oldest son, he's a little more cool, laid back, nonchalant, kind of go with the flow. I wasn't too worried about him. My youngest son, he's very he has a lot of personality, but I wasn't so much worried about him because he was young enough to where everything was still kind of new and teaching, right? Now my middle boy, I was a little worried about him. And it's interesting, ironic, because he's actually probably the most affectionate, most loving towards her.
Yes, he is.
So, while he was the one I was afraid of, it was just like...
I connected with him first.
Yeah, my youngest son, my oldest son, they have a pretty good relationship. My middle son, they have a good... My youngest son, he's still, he's still all over the place. So,
How old is he?
Yeah, he's 7.
The baby?
Yeah,
Okay.
so they haven't really found their groove yet, but that's just because he's a baby. So.
How are the kids with each other?
They act like real brothers. They act like real brothers. My son is 5.5, and then his youngest is 7. So those
so they're
two,
right there. Yeah.
If they not fighting, they laughing and playing, and they act like real brothers. It's the house stays very. What's the word? Should I say loud? Loud.
This is very eventful in the future Coleman home.
It's something new for me to get used to, because when you do blend, he's used to having multiple children, the noise, the loudness, the house dirty. I'm not. So for me, it's a major adjustment having that many people under the roof at the same time.
At one time.
Boys.
Going from one to bam.
For me, I think for me, that's one of the largest adjustments for me. I'm not used to all those people.
So one thing that we learned, of course, after the fact, but that is integral to how we teach and coach, is advising couples who are prepping to blend, sit down and figure out, the things that you can as far as roles, responsibilities, who's in what lane, how do you handle, particularly, so for you all like us, you each had children that you're bringing to your new family, that you're forming. Have you all sat down and talked through and decided and discussed who's in what lane now for amongst yourselves, and then this part B to that is going to be, have you expressed that and had or started having family meetings so that the kids understand? And what I mean is by this, so we jumped in. I just, from day one, started acting like
Took
mom,
over.
like we were a traditional family.
Okay,
Now, our dynamics were a little bit different because all kids live with us full time.
Oh,
So
You had no
that's a
choice.
bit different,
Yeah.
right? And so, however, regardless, when your boys are with you all, like have the two of you discuss, hey, for X amount of time or until further notice. For instance, what happens, Calvin, if one of your boys is acting out or has an issue and it needs to be addressed from a discipline perspective? Have you all discussed and talked about that's your role until further notice, and maybe not ever, based on what's healthy for the family, as you all are making sure that you all first understand and the kids understand their mom is their mom. You know, do they call you Miss D? What do they call
They call
you?
me Miss Dee.
Miss Dee Dee. You see what I'm saying? So have you all discussed that from that perspective? How like that topic?
Right. So my first marriage, I call that my trial marriage. I went in my first marriage with a different approach, and there were some things that worked out well, and there were some things that didn't, especially with my stepdaughter at the time.
So you were blended twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when
So you're on your encore blending.
when I grew up in a blended family too.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
I grew up with my father and my
Okay.
stepmother, and my stepmother, they forced me to call her mom, and they forced me to call her mom, and
Hold on, let's all take a turn. No, I'm kidding.
We have to cue D in.
So again, there's
Okay.
I don't look at it as like a right or wrong thing. I understand why they did it, but the woman I was calling mom, I really didn't have that connection with her. And that's what made it even more difficult. And also, it didn't sit well with my mother when she found out. I remember she wasn't too happy about that. But that's what I knew. So I thought that was the way to, when you deal with a blended family.
Yeah,
that's
That's what I was taught, right?
Yeah.
So when I walked into my first marriage, I didn't force her to call me dad. I gave her options. I said, you can call me dad, you can call me stepdad, you can call me Mr. Calvin. I was like, you choose. And
That's good.
And she chose to call me dad. So I know that there was some, that didn't sit well with members of, her family. And I remember, I don't know if that was something that was kind of being put in her head, like, this is wrong, he shouldn't be doing that, which made it solidify in her head even more. And I remember, kind of growing up as a stepfather, our relationship, it was never, we could never find our groove. It was always some type of strain. And I would always try to talk to her, but I also had the mindset like, I don't ever want, because I grew up not feeling like, I was a part of, like she accepted me. And I didn't want my stepdaughter to ever have to feel like I'm treating my kids different than her. People would ask me, how many kids you got? I'd be like, I got a daughter and I got 1, 2, 3 sons.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
And now if you ask me questions, cool. But if not, that's my reality.
That's my answer.
Yeah. And, but, it just wasn't looked at on the other side. You know what I'm saying? I was the husband, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
It was just,
right.
so I remember asking her one day, I said, is everything okay? Is something bothering you? And then she came out and was just like, the fact that she has to call me dad. So I was like, do you remember we had that conversation and you chose that? She was like, yeah. And I was just like, listen, if that makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to keep doing it. And I told her the reason why I did it. And I explained to her, how I grew up. I explained to her that I wanted her to feel like, I was here as, and I raised her as if she was mine, So now learning from that, I'm approaching this one a little differently because I don't ever want a child to feel some type of resent or people to feel some type of way about that decision. So I was just like, you know what, let me steer away from that and just call me Mr. Calvin. I'm okay with that. And even with the disciplining thing, I know his father, has some stipulations, concerns, or or things that he's not comfortable
That's real.
with.
Yeah,
And I have to respect that.
Yeah.
That's
You
real.
know what I'm saying? So, but not saying I'm gonna let the little guy run me over,
Right.
but you know,
Give me your car keys.
There's ways to raise kids
Yes.
where you can still be assertive, still be
Absolutely.
stern without having to physically,
Yeah.
you know, punish them.
Right, you know.
So, but for the most part, Colton, he respects me. He always asks about me. We have a cool relationship. You know, and everything's fine. Yeah.
So I have a follow-up question, but Dee Dee, I want you to go ahead and respond to the question, and then I have a follow-up question.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh,
No, she's saying what question you want her to respond to.
the one that Jessica asked. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Do you have, as far as
the
roles and
stipulation.
responsibilities? Like, did you
Oh,
two,
this
did
one-
you
we-
guys
we have
discuss
talked.
this up
Okay.
front? Right? And so,
Good thing about Calvin and I, we are talkers.
That's
We
good.
talk
That is
about
awesome.
everything. We
Okay.
have the family meetings. We sit down and we
Good,
discuss these
good.
types of things. So we both knew in the door that neither one of us had to go to, like, we just want to, if we had to discipline each other's children, it isn't ever going to be physical, right? But we both interchange with what was you just asked to do. We both
Got it.
redirect
Right,
children.
right.
So we both are very open to that because I don't feel like we can ever truly have a blended family if my son thinks he never has to listen to Calvin.
that's right.
Right.
You are in this
That's fair.
home.
That's right.
He lives here. This is our home. You have to respect him, period. You know, so we both, and the kids know, he makes sure the kids know. He'll say, what did Miss Dee Dee ask you to do? You know, so we both support each other in
That's
that way.
good. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But physical, we keep that separate. So if anything that physical has to happen, he handles it with his children and me with mine.
Well, one, I just want to
Makes me
give
feel
you.
so good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I want to give you all just extreme kudos,
Yeah.
seriously, for having figured that out or known that, and even just, you know, putting thought behind Calvin, like you knowing to assess, well, hey, I grew up in a blended family. I'm gonna draw from that experience and try to do it better, you know, in your first marriage. And even though that didn't turn out, and I want to point out that was awesome, and awesome bravery for you to offer to your stepdaughter for her to change her opinion and mind if because as they get older, like, right, you know, if it and she felt uncomfortable, and you taking the time to go, hey, what's going on, you know, well, hey, do you remember I gave you a choice, I didn't force you, and try, and if she still felt uncomfortable. So I would say, again, this is one of the things that we talk about quite often, and I just want to
was a
say,
challenge
man,
for
that
us.
it was an extreme challenge for
Yeah.
us, but being okay with hitting pause and
know what?
being okay with restructuring the situation for the health of the children, that's what it's all about, y'all. Like, seriously. So kudos, like, seriously, like
Yeah.
that
Your
is
feelings are
phenomenal.
not the only feelings that matter.
No.
In these situations.
And being able to stop and talk to the kids and make sure that you're listening, asking questions, and then adjusting as need be to have them in as healthy of a place as possible.
Yeah,
You were going to ask something.
No, and before I say that, I'm feeling less than listening to you guys. I'm like, man, we missed the mark on that
You know
one.
what?
Our situation is different.
It's something we
Yeah.
probably missed the mark on, too, that you guys
You
did.
should 100% feel less than.
Ah,
You know
that
what?
is so rude.
After
Oh
this,
my
I'm gonna
gosh.
see you.
Oh my gosh.
We gonna lay hands on the head and neck here. So having grown up in a blended family, and then marrying into a blended family. No, so before I finish, were you in a blended family when you were younger?
I was raised by my grandmother, and my grandmother did the best job ever making sure I never saw a man around because she just wasn't married at the time. So she wanted to so-called raise me in an environment where I understood that if you weren't married, you really shouldn't have men coming in and outside the house. So it was just me and my grandmother mostly when I was raised.
So it was kind of a singular blended family.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
Okay.
I was
All
her
right.
only grandchild that she raised.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So then my question is, do you guys think that having come from unconventional families when you were younger, do you think that played a role into being acceptable or accepting a unconditional relationship?
I'm not following you.
Unconditional meaning what?
Unconventional meaning, a man and woman that don't have children. Do you think what you went through kind of prepared you for what you ended up marrying into?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like it's almost like a replay, honestly, but an improvement almost. Because for one, I think I do better with boys.
He always says that.
Yeah, I think I just do better with boys, and now being in a situation where it's just like, wow, I literally got to redo a do over. I mean, kid is the same age. The only real big difference is dealing with his father. That's a big difference. Like my ex's child's father, he was much easier to deal with. But yeah, I mean, just there was a lot of growing, a lot of maturing, and I learned a lot from that marriage, and I took mistakes that I made, and it's just like, okay, Cal, you do this again, you can't do that. You need to start doing this.
Right,
you should switch this up. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, it was like a trial.
Training ground. Yeah,
it was training ground.
All right.
So now I'm walking in like, okay, I get it now. You know? So,
but we both really support each other's relationships with the children. So, like, even if I see that I notice my child is maybe not listening to him the way that he should or something like that,
you address it.
What were you asked to do? What did Mr. Calvin say to do? I make sure that I reinforce in him that respect that he's supposed to have for him, and he does the same with his children.
Yeah,
that's good.
Which is crucial because that's another thing that we didn't do.
Failed at miserably.
The way that we should have, as far as the bio parents taking the primary role in dealing with rules, regulations, and with their bio kids, and reinforce, whatever the agreement is, consistently reinforcing, hey, whether it's dad or Mr. Tyrone or whatever may have you, what did this say? What did he say? So again, that's. Ooh, y'all, okay, maybe y'all need to be doing this show.
But you gotta think about it. This is a big difference. We're getting married older.
Well, that's true, too.
You were learning yourself.
Right.
You got married very young.
Thank you for that, Grace.
Yeah.
So give me a match.
You get married over 40, you live some life. You got some wisdom now that you can
true.
That's a
put
fair
into
point.
things. So I'm sure you would do it very different if you had kids today or blended today.
And hopefully what you just said makes a lot of sense, and hopefully people understand that when you are younger, you're trying to create the road opposed to having already laid it, and now you're going back down it again. If that makes any sense. So that's good stuff. I mean, something.
Sorry.
What were you gonna say?
We have a lot of things that we're going through with each other for the first time, but we are still able to use some of our experiences to help.
Yeah.
So, Calvin, you're always here. You always hear what we talk about. So, something that we always talk about is bonus parent and step parent time with the children. Do you guys often, bonus parent and biological parent?
Bio and bonus.
So have you guys implemented something like that? And what I mean is the bonus parent spends time with their bonus children and the biological parent, am I saying that right?
Yeah, you are. Bio 101s and
obviously,
bonus 101s.
you're not here a lot.
Well, clearly my brain is like, say it. So do you guys implement that a lot or at all?
Not a whole lot. We have moments where I'm alone with Colton. She's had moments where she's been alone with my boys. I know Colton. He's still he's still very young, and he's still kind of in that I need nurturing.
Yeah, the valuable stage. Yeah.
So I haven't really gotten to that kind of like bonus father figure. All right, let's really turn up now yet. So and I'm taking things with stride too. Like I don't want to be too overbearing. I would ask her a lot, like, hey, I could go bathe him, I could go dress him or whatever. But I know this is her only baby boy. So these moments she's cherishing every little second. So I don't want to.
I feel guilty to it. In my job, that's my child. I should be doing these things, and I know it's part of my own hang up. Because I feel like, okay, if he's kid free, he doesn't have his children, he shouldn't have to get up and go do all this for my son. This is mama time, and I just go handle it. It's part of my own guilt, feeling like he shouldn't have to do it.
Right.
He's asked though.
That kind of brings me to my next question. So, do you feel like, because like, okay, for me, And me being a single mom, whenever it comes to me dealing with anybody, like you don't have to touch my kid. You don't gotta, I'm the mama, and I'll do it.
Like I got
it's
it.
cool. So, but now that you're blending and merging your family, at what point do you feel like you're going to give yourself the space and grace to be able to allow him to assume his role?
That's kind of what I was going to ask. Yeah,
it's certain roles that he assumes.
As his bonus dad, because I think
Yes,
it's been
bonus
clearly
dad.
established that his bio dad is in his life.
Very much.
Yes.
His father is very active in his life.
Yes.
Very active in his life. It's certain things that just happen automatically. Like, for example, I 100% on a daily basis give him the space till if he needs to redirect my child coaching in any type of way, he has that at all times. It's just the task. The task to take care of the child, the laundry, the waking him up in the morning, the bathing, all of that. In my mind, I feel like that's something that I should be doing. I don't feel right laying on the couch watching TV talking about, going up there and bathe them. I just feel like I'm mama. I'm supposed to be doing it. It's something that I just feel responsible for. But I know he's there to support me if I ever need it. There's times I might be in there cooking dinner or doing something, and my son could say, Mommy, can you give me some milk or whatever it may be? And he'll go do it while I'm cooking dinner, things like that. But if I'm not doing anything else, I feel too guilty not tending to my child.
So tomorrow in a perfect world, and I got you, tomorrow in a perfect world, everybody lives with you all. How do you unpack that?
Headphones, noise canceling headphones. That would be rough for me. That would be rough for me. Like I said, my grandmother raised me, so it was just me and her. I literally was raised by an older woman. I was the only child in the home, so I'm used to quiet. I'm used to space. So that's the thing that was very new when I met him and his children. When we all get in the same space, it's like high stimulant, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still getting used to that. I think on a daily basis it would be difficult for me. I'm not for sure if it would be for him because I think he's used to that family dynamic.
You got 3, you add 1 more.
Yeah, so in his
they're all boys. We know
Send him outside.
and he tunes things out. It's like he could be watching TV and his whole ear sound just cuts off. He doesn't hear anything. I'm like, you don't hear that? He's like, hear what? I'm like,
it's not the noise that you need to.
It's the silence.
It's that
dead silence.
You're like
those they could be up there going at it. He hears nothing. I hear boom, 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 bam, something crashed, something broke. I'm like he doesn't. He can tune things out.
It's not so much. It's just certain sounds that are triggering. That it's just like, oh, something is wrong. You know what I'm saying? So like when you hear dish, that's normal.
Rambunctiousness.
you hear that high pitched squeal.
That's
You're like,
boys,
But I don't know how to cut it off yet. Where I only pay attention to certain noises. For me, what's the problem? Who's fighting? Who's arguing? I'm on run mode. Fix mode. So that's something that I have to work through, and I will the longer and the more I'm exposed to it.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is if like you're paying attention to every little thing, you're just gonna be.
Yeah.
You're going to lose your mind.
Yeah.
But I'm new to it. I'm new to it. He has a long history and experience with it.
Yeah.
He's been in a home with 3 children for a long time.
Man himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy's going to be buoyant.
He had 4 children in his marriage, so I was 40 when I had my child. I was by myself. I was literally living by myself till 40. And then I had my son, so then that was a change for me to now have one other person here at the home. So, it's just an adjustment.
Right.
I want to circle back a little bit to Jayla's original question, just to add a little bit of clarity on the bio 101s and bonus 101s, because I hear what you're saying, Dee, when you're saying I don't feel comfortable or you feel guilty asking him to do but I got you on that, because again, if you're the mom and that, like I primarily I handled all the kids for bath time, there's different just roles in general, right? Like whatever you two decide. But what Jayla was, I'm going to clarify and say what we were talking about though is we're not talking about you having time with his kids and him having time with your son on the regular day-to-day stuff. It's, do you guys carve out time where you can go on a bonus one-on-one date, right? Let's just call it that, where you get to go and sit down and what's your favorite color? What type of ice cream do you like? So not while you're doing the regular day-to-day stuff, but separate, and then not just for the bonus to swap, but even particularly for you, Calvin, and because your boys are not in your home 100% of the time, the bio one-on-ones are going to be super, super important. And that gets a little dicey when, how do you then, now you've got a family, but how do you make sure you have individual time with your boys to reinforce and reassure them that they still have the same place in your heart, in your family, in this house as your sons? Does that make sense?
Every weekend he has his boys, he has that. And I'll explain that. He gets his boys every other weekend. When he gets his boys, my son is only there with everybody on Friday night. He goes to his father Saturday morning. So once my son is gone, now it's just him and his boys. Okay. And most likely can't wait for my son to go to his father. So now I start to run my errands. I'm gone. I'm at a sorority meeting. I'm at the grocery store. I'm getting my nails and toes done. So he has plenty of time to just be with his boys while I'm out and my son is gone. So that's the good thing about that he doesn't have to always worry about putting them all together. He has time with them apart.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Not we was waiting for some struggles and y'all just got everything together.
Right.
Well, I told you noise canceling headphones.
I won't go that far.
So staying right there, what are some questions that you guys, what are some areas that you may have areas of opportunity with? Where do you think you have some things that we could offer to assist?
He said,
She took her notepad out. She's like, number one.
You know, I think one of the things is like work-life balance.
You asking the wrong couple for that.
For who? No, but I'm saying for who?
Mostly for me.
Okay.
Mostly for me. You know, I like we were joking earlier. She said I can't sit down. You know, I do have a lot going on. I do have a lot going on. Regular full-time job, you know, film, photography, acting, event promoting, home inspecting. So, you know, there's...
Did he just plug himself?
Hey, go follow me.
Right. Yeah, you know, promoting my show.
That's right. Tell them.
You know.
Tell the people. Let them know.
He's Liberian, but he acts Jamaican.
I hear that a lot. It's, you know, but I just... You know, I grew up in a household where my father was, you know, a strong work ethic. He always kept a couple of jobs, always on the move, you know what I'm saying? So I think I got a lot of that from him. And then, too, I think it's just, I think God placed that in me, that hustle, that, you know, go get it, go provide, go, you know what I'm saying, go make it. You know, how you going to take care of family if you ain't working, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I'm trying to learn to navigate that and not make her feel neglected, you know, and still making my
understanding.
Yeah, making my kids not feel neglected, you know.
Let's leave at that 1-1. What do you guys suggest as far as being able to balance and have a work-life balance, especially when my man got 10 jobs? You know what I'm saying?
Well, the first thing I'm gonna say is I was taught by a dear colleague of mine who is very wise. You're using the wrong word. For me, balance is not realistic. It's harmony.
Yeah.
How do you find work-life harmony?
Clock it.
Because balance implies it's all equal. Yeah, no, bruh. Not, you know, and like you, we work extremely hard. I have always had as far as profession, requirements and responsibilities that went well beyond 8 hours. It wasn't done in 8 hours. It just I was been in like positions where you know you work 12 hours and try to come home and the phone still ringing, sitting in the driveway. I'm doing another call for an hour in the car. Yeah.
Kids
in
got
the
their face
driveway
on the window,
and
like
kids running in and out, and I'm like doing like 1 minute, you know. And so the first thing is I am still learning and doing much better, but still am learning that I really have to ask God what is for me to do. What learning to say no. Is this for me?
Do I have to do this?
Yeah, and then making sure you're going, you know, I can't do 25 things and still have energy to love on my husband and be there for my kids the way that I want to. And so when you're having to, if we're saying out of our mouth that my family comes first, if it's God, then family, and then what God has called me to do as part of my ministry through work, through my 9 to 5, or through actual, all the other things behind it, taking the time to regularly, and this is for us, because again, we make no bones about it. We're Christians, and we believe if it was not for the Lord who had been on my side, Lord have mercy. But if it weren't for prayer and really going, okay, is this for me? And is this the right time? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And then sitting down and really weighing the cost out for yourself, and then talking to your spouse or your spouse to be and going, hey, how you feeling about this or what's going on? So 1, communication upwards for me. Number onwards. 2, communication horizontally, right? So vertical then horizontal. Because if he's not in agreement with something that, with a new job or a new this or, doing the podcast or whatever may have you, it's going to cause a rift. And so I would say, you're blessed that D is fine. She has the grace and understanding and knowing who you are and loving you. However, at the same time, you all communicating and talking and going, okay, is this bothering you? How are we doing? Let's check in. You all making sure you're having your one-on-ones, your meetings, and going, how we doing? What's up? And when you look at that schedule for the week, okay, what's up for the week this week, babe? What's going on? And if she rolling her eyes because you still talking and you ain't done with, I got this on this day and this on that day and this on this day. And then, you got to talk through it. And then you have to sometimes put your money where your mouth is, as far as, all right, this could begin to threaten my pending marriage before I even get there. Let me reassess. And it's one thing, bills are bills, but then you start adjusting. I mean, we have to have real conversations sometimes, because at the end of the day, I can fat mouth all day long. And I don't care if it's just me and you in a paper box. Well, okay, put your money where your mouth is then. Because if I'm working 14 jobs because I want a certain lifestyle, but I'm working myself into the ground and running myself ragged, do I really care more about you than the stuff? Those are real questions. Not easy ones, but those are real questions that we have had to navigate, have to continue to navigate to make sure we're putting ourselves and our family truly first. Because it's a box.
What about you, Dad?